Hi everyone, welcome back to Voyager. And I've been doing lots of stuff while you haven't been watching. But it's all stuff I've already showed you how to do. Of course, I've got all the windows in the saucer section, and additionally, I have all the windows in this section. So, but what I'm going to do is start lighting things up. I started with this, so if I follow the cables over here, yes, yes, yes. Hi. If you watch the saucer there, you'll see it light up. And even with the lights that are on top of it, it's still quite bright. So that means everyone inside is completely blind. They can't see at all. I really don't like them this bright. And I tried to make it dimmer this time, which there's things I can do to do that. I don't know that I will. Now you notice that even these side windows here are all lit up in here. These are the ones I had to add that did not come with the kit. So also the ones on the bottom are lit up, and they're lit up rather well. That one's blocked, that's fine. Not all of them should be lit up. There should be litter in front of them and stuff to really make them look like real windows. But now I'm going to show you what's causing all these windows to be lit up the way they are. And it's probably going to surprise you, I think. That's it. That's all there is. Just one strip of LEDs. Some of them are aimed forward, some are aimed up. And this demonstrates my point about the white inside the models. I've been argument after argument on the internet to ad nauseam about silver. Silver works best. No, silver works best if you want to make a flashlight. If you want to diffuse white or light inside your model, white, flat white is what'll do it. Gloss white won't. You can see. I mean, it's so perfect. What I like about this too is how well this snaps on and closes. So I like these Revell kits because they fit together really well. And this is one was put together before and then taken apart, so which will make Gary happy. So in addition to this is one of the last of the boards that Randy Newbert ever made. This was my personal one, which I'm going to sell to my client because I'll probably never get to my refit. And these are photon torpedoes. And if you hit the button again, you do the other one. And what I'm going to do is fit them up in here, if I can get it to squeeze in there. So I'm going to have to open this up a little wider, it looks like still, but it is working. No, that's fine. Look at that. That's really cool. So those are going to be in there. So that's this entire board, which will be in here. Now, one of the things we're going to do next is light up, of course, this whole section with a single strip of lights. What I also did is, since this was already glued in, the deflector, by the previous owner, I had to mask it both front and back. And let's see. Get this off. I get kind of carried away when I mask stuff, but I really don't want my clear to get paint on it like it did anyway a little bit. Par for the course. And I'll get that off. You know, this blue painter's tape will never stick when you want it to. When you don't want it to, it sticks every single time. Now I'm going to take out this one. This should be one piece. And I'll show you what I did. Because this is another bit of controversy that's been going on for years on the internet with modelers out there. I use that term lightly. Is that if you look at the actual studio scale models, and if you really think about the alleged science behind Star Trek models, a deflector dish, when it's off, should be clear, frosted, as should be the nacelles. Clear, frosted, not tinted blue or red, because the color is a byproduct of the fusion reaction inside, much like a nuclear reactor. It glows blue, and the red is another action of science causing a glow of red, not the color of the plastic. So I diffuse it like that, and this will now fit in here, and I'm going to glue it in. Looks good back there. I'm going to glue this in like so, and we're going to light this up. Eventually I'm going to glue this to the bottom. We're going to light this whole thing up. Now I'm going to use some styrene glue, hopefully with some success on this, using the capillary action. I should be able to glue this all together pretty well. Just tapping it like that makes it just run all over the place. It's so thin. Now hopefully that's actually settling in there. Kind of is. It's being very uncooperative. There we go. There we go. And of course you always have to touch up. But I have to admit these parts fit together pretty darn good. And so yes, it's pre-painted with the actual hole color, and it will become a little bit more damaged, but all you have to do is just a little bit of tape and a little bit of touch up with the airbrush, and you'll get back the nice paint job. So it gets a little swishy because the plastic melts. That's what you want. And then it goes in and seals rather well. That's beautiful. That's a good fit. No light leaking around it, and that should glow really well. So we're going to look for some blue, and I believe this is blue. And this whole strip is a blue strip. I'm going to put this over here for now. Also, I wanted to show this. This is one of Randy Newbert's boards from Voodoo Effects, as was the photon torpedo board. This is a junction board. This is pre-wired with resistors, and this is enough for about 18 separate individual LEDs. And this model is going to have maybe not that much, but we're going to have some nav lights that don't blink and some other source lights. This will take care of all of those off a single power supply or a single power feed line, rather than hook up a bunch of different ones and then twist them all together and put solder on them, which I've done in the past, which looks really untidy. This will be nice and tidy inside, so I'll be using that. And of course this is the nav board that we'll be hooking up, and you'll see blinking and flashing strobes and nav lights pretty soon. We'll show you how that gets done. But first, I'm darn sure that this is blue, so we're going to need to light up this. I'm just going to curl this around it. What I don't need is that frosting on it, but I may be helpful, so I won't take it off just yet. We're going to put a coil of it around, like roughly like that. Should give us a good glow. You have to cut it on these little stripes here. And nowhere else. You cut anywhere else, it breaks the... They even have little scissor marks there for you. It breaks the connection. It doesn't work really well. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of the gel off, which is this rubbery silicone stuff on the outside. That exposes the electrical contacts we need right there. So, and then I'm going to take some of this wonderful, I found out about this stuff from Randy Newbert. It's a place called Gemco, I think it's spelt with a J, in Redwood City, and they carry all kinds of electronic stuff that you can get in bulk, and this wire will last you for several models. So I only need a little bit of it, so I'm going to cut that off like that. And I'm going to use my custom wire strippers. George loves this. These are my custom wire strippers. I am so good at using a pair of scissors to strip wires that I have strippers and I never use them. Just because I can. So now I want these to be a little bit shorter, because those will be the hookup. This will go to the actual contact point. There we go. Now, I don't think the soldering iron is on. It is now. So we're gonna, there it goes. A little bit of rosin, little dippity do. And what I do is take a little bit like that, a little bit like that, get that rosin on there. And where's my, these are marked positive and negative, are they not? It appears they are. Well, they are actually not marked positive and negative, which is disconcerting. So the only way I can find out is to go over here and hook them up. I figured that that side was the positive side. So now that I know that, I can go ahead. White's positive. A little extra. What I did is take some of the rosin and from the tips of this, put it on the tips of that. So there's a little bit right on the contacts. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to tin them like that. And these strip lights already have resistors built into it. They're good up to 12 volts. Now I'm tinning the actual wire itself. And I'm going to put those right in there like so. Just touch it. Boom. Done. Boom. Done. That's all it takes to hook these up. It's pretty easy. So they're nice and strong. And now what I'm going to do is connect these to a power source. This handy 9-volt battery will do for now until I hook up the bridge here. And I want to see what's... actually, this is not going to work well. So I made myself a little extension cord out of that cable. And there's our blue. You can see what a lovely blue it is, too, with that gel over it. It really diffuses it really nicely. We're on 9 volts. And I just want to see what happens when I do this. This stuff is resisting me curling it, which is what hot glue is for. But I just want to see if it gives off a nice even glow, and it certainly appears to. Wow. And it's not overkill, because it's not directly in there like that, where it makes it all sourcey. It makes a nice glow, and when the part's on there, it's going to be really something, the deflector itself. So, could be a little wee bit brighter, but it's good. The hot glue gun, of course, is not plugged in, and I will show you how I put that in. Once the hot glue gun heats up. With my trusty hot glue gun, I'm going to glue this stuff in. And one of the things I like to do is that they've got the sticky back stuff on this stuff, and the only thing I could ever stick this to was toilet paper. After a while, it doesn't stick very well, so we don't use that. And plus, it's facing the wrong way for our purposes. So what I'm going to do, hopefully here, he says knowingly, is get it to conform. And it has to conform evenly, so there's really not a point where you can say, well, that's a good place to have a break or a bend. So, whoa, it's like snakes in a jar. So, of course, I had it all oriented exactly the way I wanted it, and then it popped out, so I want to be like that. Okay, so we're going to put some hot glue on the edge of this. We're going to put some hot glue on the edge of this. don't know what its problem is, but I want to get it started. That's a bit overkill, Steve. And it burns. Oh, I did it the wrong side. Never get distracted. So now that I have the glue on there where I want it, I try to feed it under. Now it's cold in here, so it should stick pretty quick. And I see it on the edge and I don't like that. So I'm gonna pop that off and we're gonna glue it a second time and we're gonna try to get it down lower. Right down there. It is going off really fast because it's cold. Okay, so I'm going to try to keep following that. It sticks pretty well. Trying not to get it onto the plastic, clear plastic. Not bad. Gotta get this to turn that way. There you go. It's a little trying. Not too bad. The last thing you want to do is break the connections, which I'm really successful at doing at times. It seems like I got some glue right where I don't want it to show. So, yes, I did. But thankfully, it should be, you can pick it off easy. There it goes. It's just hot glue, so it has a tendency not to stick real well, which is good when you make boo-boos like that. Boo-boo. Which is when I had it glued on the wrong spot in the first place. So it's coming off rather successfully, so that's always a good thing. Because you could just see this little ring of it around the edge of the deflector, which I don't like. Now, normally I would have a can of dust off here, and you put the dust off upside down and spray. And the cold from it just kicks this stuff like super glue with, cyanoacrylate with kicker accelerator. Just goes boom right off. So, but minus the cobwebs, well, we know that sometimes there's spiders inside Voyager. You have a really nice glow there. So you can see a little bit of the source around the edge, but not too bad. Very, very nice effect. So the next thing I want to do here is, not short things, is I'm going to hook up some white light inside here as well. Now I have some magnetic wire on here, which is not, I like it, but for this kind of thing, I don't. I like it where I have nacelles. So I like using the other wire instead. So I'm going to take a little piece of this. And using my fancy wire cutters, I'm going to light up the saucer section, the engineering section. And I'm just going to do some twisted wires from now. thing is, you short these out, they won't immediately take out the LEDs, so you should always have some insulation over them, just in case it does that. See? So, but the power supply I'm using goes click because it's got a relay in there and it keeps you from doing bad things. So now that I got rid of that, I'm going to, I think these are marked positive, negative. No, of course not. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put in just a strip here of the white, and we're going to see how well it fares as for lighting up. Because, you know, in the past when I would do this kind of thing, I would just put in lights everywhere I thought they needed to be to aim out a window. And then I found that that really wasn't necessary. That just a few picking up the bounce from the white paint would just scatter it just really smoothly without having to have a whole bunch of lights. And here's that. It's empty. Figures. Then use your finger. No, your finger will, after a certain point, will absorb some of the heat quickly and dissipate it. So, okay, so I'm going to do this kind of around here. I know the fan tail comes all the way back into here, so I'm just going to glue these down like so and see where I need to cut those. And I'm going to cut that very quickly, hopefully not shorting out everything. Look, see? Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Okay. Never understood why he was jumping over a candlestick anyway. I'm going to put it down here and don't put it over the windows, which I almost did. Okay, that's not really sticking down that well. Yeah, this feels good. Right on my finger. You know, I had a funny thought. I've never tried, maybe it's possible that with hot glue you could do windows too. I'm not quite sure how you would rub it down in there and not burn yourself, but it might be possible to do it. Just a thought. I like my wiring inside my ships to be nice and tidy, just like a real starship. Okay, so we're going to do that. Just in case anybody ever looks inside the model after it's done. I don't know. It's great for pictures. It's, you know, and you should be neat and clean, but to tell you the truth, some models I've built, if you looked inside of them, it looked like a colander full of spaghetti. But everything worked, and no one ever knew. But now that I have to be on my best behavior. Okay, so we got a nice little set of lights down there. And if I'm correct, I'm hoping. Now, some of this is going to kick onto here and kill some of the blue there. So my plan is to put over this, and of course I've blocked, almost blocked, but not quite. No, I didn't. The photon torpedoes. But what I'm going to do is put something here across here that will shield that. You know, probably some aluminum tape on a piece of cardboard or something, you know, maybe not cardboard, but metal, plastic, one of those. So I'm going to pop this down in here temporarily like so, and then I'm going to put this where it's supposed to go, which is right up here. I found last night, just putting this on, that the lights that are already in there, in the upper saucer section, lit the lower lights as well. So, and you can see we're getting some of the blue kicking back too, so I definitely have to isolate that area. There it goes, right there. You can see it lit them up really well, no problem. So, I mean, it's gorgeous. So now what we're gonna do, and that's all the light I need. That's it. That's all I need to light up all those windows, because, you know, after all, you don't want people to be blind. So I'm gonna make something to block this, and probably what I do is use a piece of styrene and fit it in there and put some aluminum duct tape over it, because that's absolutely opaque. It also will cause a little reflection. And but you know, before I do that, I might want to think about putting these in. I'm not sure. I still probably can access it over the top. So I'm going to go ahead and cut some styrene and put it in. So I'm just making a real basic sort of template, bulkhead template, using a Sharpie and a piece of paper. And that'll get me in the ballpark. So I can make that piece. I cut that out like so. I can feel, I can even see where the... Oh boy, that felt pen smells bad. It smells like magic smoke. For those of you who don't know what magic smoke is, short anything electrical and you'll smell this smell. That's what we call magic smoke. So, very bad smell. Right now, Elliot's giggling. Okay, so this should go just about right. And it's a little bit tall. I'm going to put this over here. And it's a little small, so I'm going to make it fine on there. I'm going to make it a little bigger, so it fits snugly. Okay. I'm gonna cut that out like so. I'm gonna go straight across here. It was a little bit too high too. This is just all guesswork, but I've done it a lot. I've gotten away with it. Okay, so that's actually fitting pretty darn good. And we'll have to put a little bit of metal over that, but that will help immensely. I'm going to temporarily tack this in, but what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go get some aluminum duct tape. It should be right here where I can find it. Ah, look at that. Oh, geez. Well, that's not good. Naughty, naughty people. This stuff's great for doing model airplanes too, if you want them to have a real aluminum skin on them. Now this is pretty messed up, but it'll be this piece here, but it'll work good for what we're gonna do. You can get this this aluminum duct tape, and the reason they call it duct tape is because if you're ever down at the pond and you see helpless duck, no really, what you use it for is ducting in air conditioning systems, and they wrap it around the junctions, because this tape, you know, will not degrade in time because it's actual metal. So what I'm going to do, I'm getting messy here. So I'm going to take this like so, I'm going to stick it over here like so, and I'm going to rub-a-dub-dub. And see, even when it's bad like this, because it was put back improperly, you can still rub it out and get it pretty smooth. And you can, you know, this is like another example of what you can do with this stuff. As long as we're in the kitchen, I'm going to rub it down like so. Okay, it's very reflective, so I'm going to do this to it. So let's say you wanted to have a nice P-51 Mustang, you didn't want to cover it with monocoat, and you wanted to really make it look like aluminum. Brushed aluminum. There you go. I mean, you would take more care. and you would put it on better than I have, but as you can see, it really looks like the skin of a Mustang or a B-17. So now, I'm going to leave a little bit of this tape on the edge. Well, a lot of sap. Love that movie. Seen it a million times, and it never ceased to make me laugh. I think this was the... let's check. Because one side is the top, and one side is the bottom, and I think that's the bottom. Okay. I'll put this in here. Now, you have to be careful with this stuff around connection points, because it is, I think I do have it upside down, it is metal, and it is conductive, and you can short things out with it if you're not careful. You might even see me do it today. You know, it doesn't fit in there now. It's interesting. Yeah, the narrower point should go that. There we go. At some point, I will hit metal to the connector, and you'll see it blink out for a second. But that pretty well will keep that spill from coming out of there and affecting our white. Pretty well. So now, when I close this, and I want to put this on here properly this time, see if I can. Now you can see that the blue is much more pronounced, and in addition to that, our lights are not blue up here as well. That was really successful. I love it when it goes that well. And while you were watching too, I didn't even blow anything up. What we're going to do next for extra fun is we're going to wire up Randy Newbert's board here, Voodoo Effects board. And I do believe you can still get these. I'm pretty darn sure. So, what do you think, George?
I love it.
You notice how the lights aren't affected by this? Yeah, I'll show you the secret later. For $3 a month, 10 cents a day, you can learn the secret. Okay, we're going to turn this light back on, and we're going to wire up Randy's great little board. And I say great little board because in all the times that I've been using these, and there's one in the big enterprise, it's been in there for going on 8 years now. We're in the 7.5 year with that model. God, it's almost, over half a decade. Spooky stuff. The way this board works, and it hasn't changed since then, and I've never really had one burn out, except when I was dumb. You see these pots here? These pots you can, this is set for the standard Star Trek universe. So, but you can actually twist these, turn these, and make them go at different rates and stuff, at faster rates, slower rate. One side is strobes, the ones that go bang, bang, the real bright ones. And the other side are nav lights, which will go green, red, green, red. Well, they go green and red. You get it. You ever see an airplane? You got green on one side, red on the other side. So it's a very basic board, a really good board, a hardy board. I beat the crap out of them, literally. And what we're going to do is we're going to start soldering to them. Now, the connectors for our lights, cables for lights. Now, the way this works is that everything already has all the resistors already built in. So all you have to do is connect this wire, and the inside is positive, the outside is negative. This side is marked strobe. This side is marked, where is it? That says strobe. Well, I know this side is nav. I thought there was a nav marker on there. There's 9 volt, You're not supposed to run more than 9 volts through this. So these are the strobes on this side. We can always check very easily by actually running the board. So the first thing I'm going to do is hook up power to the board. Install the power cable first. So this will be that. And twist the wires. I'm going to check real carefully. There's ground. And there is 9 volt in. So ground, of course, is black. Okay, so here we go again. That's a bit long. We don't need it to be that long, so I'm going to cut that down. And I'm going to put a nice little, first, let's make sure we get a little bit of that rosin in there. So that way I know it tins well. Now with this, I'm not going to tin it. I don't think you can see that, Mary. I'll put it in the helping hands here. Okay. And I'll turn it a little bit that way. Oh, didn't want to do that. Okay, so that's 9 volt in. I'll stick that in there like that. And then I'm going to and that's it. That's that one in. Now we're going to do the same thing with the ground. This will give us our power coming in. I don't need this to be that long. It's perfectly good that way. I put that in like so. My hand's kind of blocking it, but that's par for the course. A little bit of solder. Okay, we need a little more solder. There. So that gives us our power. And we're going to hook up this to power in a second. But first, we're going to take one of these cables here. And I'm going to do another one so I keep them all the same length. I need 4 in total because I can run 2 lights off of one output since they're flashing and they're not on continually, according to Randy. So now we're going to hook up 1 nav and 1 strobe. A little dab of do ya. Okay, now making sure that the inside is positive. Well, white is positive. I'm going to, I should have this light right here. It would be very helpful. Okay, so I have to twist these. It's a kind of a tight fit, but I prefer it to be a tight fit because that way it's not a sloppy soldering bond. Normally I would wear my headset. There we go. I just do 1 at a time. Sometimes I get fancy, I do 2 at a time, but in this case I'm just going to do 1. And this tip's real fine, so I have to kind of, you can go in from the back too. No, I missed it, so I need a little drop of solder right on the tip. Is where I'm going wrong. There we go. Now I'm going to do another one. In a second here, we'll hook up a light to it, and you can see it. So I have one strobe hooked up. This is, for demonstration purposes. And you bloody thing. Anyway, I got one hooked up here. It's a strobe. And over here, we have one nav light, one green nav light. We'll just put it in there. And if I did everything right, it should just magically light up. Where's my way to power it up? Okay, let's open that. I'm going to use this power source here. Since that's a regulated power supply over there, I shouldn't have any dimming when it blinks like I do on my Voyager, which I have to fix. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and hook up this right there. That way you can see both of them doing their marvelous, marvelous things that they do. And we're going to hook up this to here. I've hooked up so many of these boards over the years. And there you go. Strobe and a nav light. And they're pretty darn bright. I think you'll agree. Okay. So that's all you do to hook this up. And of course, you're going to want to put some liquid tape over that. George got us some. It's here somewhere, but it's that black stuff. You could use tool dip too. It's really the same thing, and hook that up. And that's how you hook up one of Randy's boards. So what I'm going to continue doing is putting some lights in. And in fact, I'm going to drill a hole in this because this is too big for what I want to do to place these in the hole, because in actuality, if you look at the real model, the lights are not that big. These are okay for the nabs because they have these long necks on them. I'll show you what I mean. Ow. You can see these are wonderful because this part sticks up to the little hole. It's like a big fiber optic. Unfortunately, I didn't have any of those for the strobe, so I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to make that strobe work when you don't have these. And I'm not even sure if I could still get these. I got these from Model Man Tom quite a long time ago. So I'm going to go get some fiber optic and come back, and I'm going to drill a little hole in that, put the fiber optic in it, and put it in there, and we'll see how it works. So I was sent samples by the fiber optic store a long time ago, and I kept the samples, of course, because this is ideal. This is actually the same diameter as these, so what I'm going to attempt to do is glue this onto that. I'm just going to cut a little piece. You can see, even at length, how effective it is. It's quite bright. So that would really make a good strobe. So what I'm going to try to do here is glue one of these to that. Just a tiny piece, just enough to stick up through there. And hopefully it won't go shooting off into another universe. So I'm going to roll it. Got my finger over it that time. So I'm going to take this, and with a little bit of CA, I'm going to tack it on there. I'm reluctant to flat sand it because it may take down some of the brightness. I mean, it is an option, I suppose, but so where is the piece I just cut? There it is. On this table, you know. All right, so we're going to take a little bit of this and put it on here. And then we're going to take this and hopefully bond it to that. Okay, obviously I'm going to need a little bit of accelerator to make this work. So I'm going to get a little accelerator handy. Put a drop there. It didn't do what I wanted it to do exactly, but Put a little more glue on. Now that glue is not exactly clear. I'm going to put a little drop of glue right there. And of course, I'll remember that glue is there. Then I take that like that. And stick it on like that. I'm going to take a tiny bit of this. Oop, I said a tiny bit. Oh well. And then I'm going to, because that's the accelerator. And the theory is that when I touch this to that, it'll go right off. It'll go right off. And of course it did not. It's really good at gluing my fingers together. Oh, okay, still really bright. It is successfully glued on there. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to do a little Bora Bora on that hole there, which is going to need to be bigger. So I'm going to have to find a drill bit and drill into that. So what we're doing is taking the strobe that's extended, and I'm going to kind of anchor it here over the piece of fiber optic that we stuck in there. Push that down like that, and that. Now you got some nice insulation on it. And that seems pretty snug. We just got to wait for this to set up a bit more. It's still very liquidy. My finger tastes interesting. Now, of course, I'm going to have to put some liquid tape over that, but it's very bright. It's nice. I'm very pleased with that. It's not like super bright, you know, the way it is when you just use a light straight through there. But it's not overly bright, which the ones I've done that way I always find are. In fact, if you have them in a room, they're so distracting. And Mary has commented on that before, the way, you know, they're very distracting. This one you could have by the TV set. It wouldn't be so bad because it's not so, it's still nice. It's just, when you hit it at the right angle, it's still quite bright. So that's going to work out really well. And that was a pretty simple gag. So basically what I want to do now is get some of the liquid material over it to darken that down, because what's going to happen is you'll see that flash inside, and we don't want that. So here's our liquid tape. This is stuff that George picked up at Lowe's, and I believe it's the same thing as tool dip. I have not used it before, but I'm going to give it a shot. I'll be able to tell the minute I smell it if it's the same material or not. That's a 10-4. That is definitely the same. This is just tool dip, so, which I've used very successfully to not only do electrical stuff like this, but with my submarines. All the lights that you may use underwater eventually it will corrode, especially if you go in a pool. So I seal everything. I did this with my Nautilus with this stuff. So, but the other nice thing about it is it's opaque. And pretty soon there, we're not going to see that light anymore. You can see as I move around it, how it keeps getting less and less. Good stuff. Dries pretty quick. You can just barely see it now. Put a little fan on this stuff and it'll dry pretty fast, and then you can put some more on. But you can see that did a nice job on that. And likewise on these wires here as well, I'm going to do that. And of course, nothing would do, I didn't get it on myself. See? So, I'm gonna do one more thing, and we're gonna call it an evening here. And that is, well, the first thing I'm gonna do is glue this back because I broke it loose. Quite sure how I did that, but I did it. It was, so, put that like that. All kinds of help for the Klingon. Now, green goes on starboard. No, port. No, starboard. Port. It goes on this. No, the green goes on this side. No, why not? That's underneath. So we want to do top side. So green goes over here. I think I pre-drilled a hole for it already. Yeah, there it is. It got filled in with some dental acrylic, but we'll open that up again very quickly here. So here we're going to put in our nav light, and you see how well those work. The only thing I don't like is that it's going to be an issue with that window to the left of it. It's going to want to make that go green, and so I really should turn it this way or black out that window, and I think that's probably what I'll do. But then again, it does go this way pretty well, but I like it better the other way. So we're going to black that window out. I don't see any reason why we can't do that. We're going to put that down like that. And is there a window underneath there? No. One right there, one right there. Glue this down. I don't know what everybody else's uses, but to hold the cables down, but I really like using the hot glue because if we ever need to get it up, I can move it without making a lot of damage. So, and it does hold very well until you want to break it free. Now, there we got a nice nav light. Then we got the strobe and the nav light. And I might take this down a little bit, just cut some of it, grind it down, but I can pop it out very easily because it's not glued in permanently. It's not affecting that window too terribly much next to it, a little bit, but again, the way to fix that, of course, is take a little bit of this stuff, just a wee bit, and put it on the light, and that should kill some of the curse of that. I'll put a lot on here. Try to keep it off the hull, Steve. I'm going to have to put more on it. It's like primer. You got to do more than one coat. And if I get the window, it's okay, because they shouldn't all be lit up. And I'll do another coat next week. But it did kill that, and I did get some on the hull, of course. It should just rub off. So. So you see the one window is kind of blacked out, which I'm going to do to some of them anyway, but we got a nice, there's not green lighting up the rest of the windows, so that went very well. The board is going to actually end up inside here after I'm done soldering everything in, but for now I'll just kind of see if I can get this all together somewhat. Spaghetti time, but it's not really bad. I mean, it's with that junction board, I'll be able to keep a lot of the mess down. the messiness, which I really don't like. I want to close, close, close. Puka puka. Okay. Come on, close, close, close. There you go. There you go. Yes, yes. Okay. Closing. Okay. That's closed. Please do not short out. Put that in there. And this board will go down in here. And so I'm going to have to cut some of these shorter, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem to get this down. And so there we go. We got a nice set of windows going. And deflector and the beginnings of our strobe and our nav lights. And I can get this to close a little better with a little bit of effort, but you get the idea. It's going to be a really attractive, pretty model. Very, very pleased with how this is all going so far. So, okay. And that strobe's really bright. So that takes us to the beginning of lighting. You've seen how I did the windows. You've seen how I've done the lighting, how I've hooked up the boards. And you're going to see more of that. You're going to see me hook up this here for the ones that do not blink. That will be the nav lights and the fantail and on the cells and all that stuff next week. And we're going to get pretty far. We'll probably get next week all the lighting in. Maybe get this mounted to the connector and the base. And once that's done, then we start doing the painting and the decals. And that's going to be the longest part because there's a lot of decals on this thing, cutting there. So here's the decals that come from JT Graphics. I've got a lot of stuff from Jeff before. And you see here's the, I'll turn some lights back on. Here's the decal sheet themselves. And the ones that they give you with the kit are these, which I don't know that I would use. One little sheet, not too many decals, not too bad, huh? Okay, let's see what the model really is supposed to have. We got one sheet there, see? See all those little markings and things? I mean, it's an amazing amount of stuff. Those all go on here, and I think, and luckily, the great thing about JT is that they give you really good instructions. I mean, amazingly so. They show you where every single one of these goes, and which is really, really nice because in most of these kits, they don't ever do that from the factory. He's got even windows in it, ones that are lit up, ones that are darkened out, and really the difference between here you've got these are the phasers, correct? But look at his. They really shine. You know, I could have left them the actual brass color, but these decals go right over them very well. There's all the lifeboats. So this is going to keep us busy for a while after we get it painted. So anyway, so that's what we're going to be doing next week and the week after. I figure another 2 weeks, maybe 3, we'll have this whole model done. Then you can go right out and build your own. Billy.